Our story opens with a mother named Maria who is desperately trying to invent a way to stay with her son Tommy long after she's gone. Her solution is simple but powerful: a notebook. She begins filling its pages with everything she wants to say to her little boy. Her hope is that when he grows up, learns to read, and feels the ache of missing his mom, he can open this book. Through her words, written with pure love, he will feel her presence right beside him, guiding him as if she were still alive. Tragically, Tommy won't have to wait a lifetime to inherit this notebook. His mother's time is running out fast. Maria has been diagnosed with terminal cancer. When the news first hits, Maria is devastated. Her life with her husband, Fede, is shattered in an instant, but rather than collapsing into despair, she makes a choice. She decides to use her remaining time to build a bridge to the future for the son she won't get to raise. As we saw in the opening, she pours 42 years of life experience into these pages. She offers advice, wisdom, and love so that even in her absence, she can still point him toward the right path. When she is first admitted to the hospital, the transition is brutal. Maria is a woman of laughter, adventure, and vitality. To suddenly be confined to a bed 24/7, dependent on painkillers and chemicals that offer no cure, is a crushing blow. The doctors know there is no fixing this. It is simply a journey of pain that will drag on until the end. Maria questions why she must suffer for months, but Fede refuses to let her give up. He insists she stay in the hospital where doctors can care for her. He tries to be her rock, suppressing his own terror and need for comfort to keep her strong. We learn that this nightmare began with a routine surgery. Maria went in for a standard hysterectomy, but the surgeons found something far worse: cancer. At first, the medical team and Fede tried to shield her from the full truth to protect her feelings, but eventually, Fede realized he couldn't lie to her anymore. Maria already sensed the shift in the atmosphere, the secrets hiding in her husband's eyes. To cope with the physical agony and the crushing isolation of the hospital, Maria turns to Twitter. She decides to document her reality, not with self-pity, but with a sharp, dark sense of humor. She tweets about her pain, her fears, and the absurdity of dying. To her surprise, the world listens. Strangers begin to follow her journey, sending prayers and support, giving her a sense of connection in her lonely room. Fede refuses to leave her side, sleeping in the hospital room. He meets Dr. Vigna, the chief physician, a man who treats his patients with rare compassion. Dr. Vigna explains the severity of the situation. A tumor is pressing on her organs, and the danger is immediate. Fede is desperate for a solution, but the doctor can only promise to manage the pain, not cure the cause. The next day, Fede brings little Tommy to visit. Fortunately, the toddler is too young to understand the gravity of the room or the sickness in his mother's body. This ignorance is a small mercy for his parents, sparing them the heartbreak of explaining that goodbye is coming. Maria soaks up every second with him, playing and hugging him, knowing these memories have to last him a lifetime. Later, the doctor checks her pain levels. Maria admits it's bearable for now, but she asks the hard question: when the agony becomes too much, will they sedate her? She's referring to palliative sedation, a way to sleep through the end of life. It's a controversial but legal procedure in her country for terminal cases. The doctor deflects, saying they will cross that bridge later. When Maria asks, "Why me?" the doctor has no comforting answer. It's not an infection or a virus, it's a genetic lottery she lost. Maria realizes she is no longer living, she is simply waiting to die. Yet her spirit remains unbroken, her humor serving as her armor. Her friends, determined to lift her spirits, surprise her at the hospital. The room fills with laughter and gifts. Fede records everything on his phone, narrating who everyone is for the future Tommy. He points the camera at her friend, Sho, introducing her as a psychiatrist, though she jokingly corrects him that she's a life coach. They try to document every detail, fighting the gloom of death with the noise of life. At night, the mood shifts. Maria returns to her notebook, racing to fill the pages before her time runs out. As the ink fills the paper, her life drains away. The countdown has begun. Her condition deteriorates rapidly. Nausea becomes constant, and eating becomes impossible. One night, Fede wakes up to find her in distress and asks why she didn't wake him up. She says she wanted him to rest. He begs her never to do that again. She must call for help the moment pain strikes. Maria's tweets shift from sarcastic to raw. She writes about the exhaustion of sleeping 14 hours a day, yet wishing she never had to wake up to the pain. She admits she hides her tears from her son to appear strong. Her honesty goes viral. A journalist writes a feature story about her, and suddenly, Maria is famous. Fede sees his wife's face in the newspaper and feels a twisted mix of pride and sorrow. She is being celebrated for dying. Her fame brings an offer for a TV interview. Maria initially refuses, seeing no point as she nears the end, but her friend Maru convinces her it's a chance to be heard. Since cameras aren't allowed in the ward, she does the interview by phone. Millions listen as she speaks with brutal clarity. She is ready to die. She accepts her fate because her body is broken. The hosts are stunned by her peace. She explains that death is as much a part of life as birth. She speaks of Tommy in the notebook, acknowledging the tragedy of him growing up without her, but refusing to sugarcoat reality. As the end draws near, Maria loses the ability to eat even her favorite strawberries. She gives her friend Maru a final mission: ensure Fede remarries. She doesn't want him to live a lonely life. Maria mourns the loss of her physical self, her eyelashes falling out, her body wasting away to a skeleton. Yet she still applies lotion and grooms herself, clinging to these small acts of dignity. On her birthday, Fede and the nurses bring cake and gifts, but Maria is done. She turns down more media requests. She is focused solely on finishing the notebook. When the doctor sees how much she is suffering, Maria declares it is time. She wants the sedation. She has 10 pages left to write for Tommy, and once they are done, she wants to sleep. She posts a farewell tweet. She asks her friends for a goodbye party, not a birthday party. Fede, seeing her agony, agrees to the sedation plan. He secures a notary for the consent forms, but they hit a wall. The hospital administration, terrified of the media scrutiny surrounding the tweeting mom, blocks the procedure. They fear legal backlash if they are perceived as ending her life. Desperate, Fede considers moving her home. He consults his cousin, Adrian, a doctor, who warns that home sedation is complicated and slow. Adrian mentions an illegal instant option, but Fede refuses to dishonor Maria's wishes with a back-alley solution. He tries to get the necessary equipment from the hospital, but they stonewall him again. Just as all hope seems lost, the hospital relents. They agree to do it on site. Fede organizes the final goodbyes. Maria dictates her will, giving away her possessions and ordering the destruction of a sentimental CD so it won't haunt Fede later. Her friends, Roxy and Charlie, say their tearful goodbyes. Finally, Fede brings Tommy. Maria has finished the notebook. She holds her son one last time, absorbing his scent before drifting into sleep. Fede posts a final update to her followers, but then a betrayal. The nurse enters with a standard dose, not the deep sedation they agreed on. The head doctor has overruled the plan, refusing to participate in terminal sedation on moral grounds. Fede is furious. He confronts Maria's private doctor, who offers a compromise, a gradual sedation that will suppress her consciousness and pain over a few days until she naturally passes. It's a way to bypass the legal fear while granting her peace. Maria accepts. She writes the final line in the notebook for her son, a promise that transcends death. Nothing lasts forever, and neither will I, but I will always remain in your heart and mind.